Hey guys, it's Natasha and welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, then welcome. If you were here from probably about 5 years ago when I originally had this channel up and running and all of those videos are now privated, then welcome back. This is a video I've wanted to do for quite a while now, and I've always kind of been scared of people's reactions and judgment, and so I've put it off. But going into 2021, I decided that I was just going to kind of live life carefree and not care what other people think. So here we are. Now, the reason I'm making this video today is because when I first found out that I was pregnant, all I could do was watch people's first trimester symptoms, second trimester symptoms, pregnancy vlogs, because I wanted to know what I could possibly feel like. Some of them I related to so well, and some of them I just not at all. And so I wanted to make my own video with all of my symptoms, all of my pains, all of the great experiences. So if you watch this video and you're in your pregnancy and you're experiencing some of these or any of these or all of these, you know that somebody else is going through them too or did go through them. You are not alone, and it is totally normal. So firstly, we're going to start off with how I got pregnant, because that is a story in itself. I'll make it pretty quick and pretty brief, but I do think it's relevant, and then I will get into the first trimester symptoms. So let me start off by saying that I had an IUD. Now, if you see this video and you're like, oh my gosh, she got pregnant with an IUD, I need to get rid of mine, don't. Mine was a very special, rare occasion that happened, and there was a reason that it happened, and there was a reason that I got pregnant with it, and IUDs are safe, okay? So my IUD, basically what had happened is when I went to check for the strings one day, I couldn't find them. I went to the doctor's and it had turned sideways, so it was no longer in place, therefore it was no longer doing its job. Now, the doctor fixed that, everything was going to be fine. However, because it was out of place for anywhere between 5 to 7 days, we think, there was a chance that in that period I could have gotten pregnant. These chances were super, super tiny. I'd have to be ovulating at the right time, I'd have to be doing the deed at the right time. The chances of it happening were very, very slim, but there was a chance. However, we got the IUD fixed and everything was fine. Fast forward a month later, time of the month is due and there is no sign of it. So I take a test, it's negative. I take a test the next day, it's negative. I wait a few more days, take another test, it's negative. At this point I'm thinking, okay, I've just skipped a month because of what was happening with my IUD. All is fine, I'm not pregnant, we're good. Then 2 weeks later, and I remember this like it was yesterday, I was sitting in this exact spot and I was on a Zoom call and I felt fine. I did the Zoom call, I had some lunch, and then I got in my car and headed over to Simon's mum's house. On my way there, I felt feverish, I felt ill, I felt horrible. I had the window down, it was pouring with rain and I was getting soaked, but I didn't care. My car didn't have AC to cool me down. I was driving behind the slowest tractor in the world, and if you live in the UK and you drive on a B road, you understand how you get stuck behind tractors and just can't not. So I'm driving behind this tractor, and eventually I just felt so sick that I knew I was going to be sick. So I just stopped in the middle of the road, opened my door, and started throwing up all over the road. Sorry if that's TMI, but you're here to know all of the symptoms, and that was one of them. I wasn't sick again for the rest of the day, but I felt horrible. I couldn't eat anything. I didn't want to eat anything. The smell of everything just was like, well, I just figured I had food poisoning from whatever I ate for lunch. So this was on a Thursday. Friday comes around, I feel fine. I go to work, kind of even forgot that I was sick. I went to work, worked my day. Saturday rolls around, oh Saturday. I got in the car and oh my gosh, I've never felt more horrible in my life. We made it about 5 minutes up the road before I was like, we need to pull over. We pulled over into a petrol station, I got some crisps, I got some Sprite, I believe. And I just was like, I just need to eat this, just need to get something in my stomach, settle my stomach. And the rest of the drive there, I had the seat fully reclined. It's like, we're going to do this. I'm not ruining our weekend because I'm sick. At this point, still kind of thought it was food poisoning. Didn't know why it hadn't affected me on the Friday, but whatever. I was not good. Felt totally fine for the majority of the day, and then went to Wagamama's that evening and could barely stand in line. It was so bad. I was hanging onto Sai, like draping myself on him. I was sweating, I was hot, I was looking for places where I could throw up. We have just come out at this point of lockdown. From March to August we were in lockdown in the UK. We'd just come out of it. So I'm trying to look as normal as possible here. 8 Wagamamas, drove home, still felt horrible. Sunday, exact same thing. Morning, felt okay. Come the afternoon, being in the car, hour and a half, reclined. Moaning, groaning, making horrible sounds, crawled up into a ball, just trying to fall asleep because sleep was taking away the pain. I didn't know what was wrong with me. At this point, Sai was like, "You are pregnant." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I've taken so many tests, spent all of this money on tests. I'm not pregnant." He's like, "Yes, you are." I'm like, "No, I'm not." We had this fight back and forth. I'm like, "If you think I am, you go pick up a test." So on the way home, we stopped off at Tesco. He picked up a test and we went home. I started the timer as soon as I got into the bathroom. So I got into the bathroom, I put my phone on the counter and I pressed start. Pulled down my trousers, sat in the toilet, peed on the stick. Within seconds, not like a minute, not 3 minutes, however long it tells you to wait, seconds of my urine touching this stick, it went positive. Not like a faint line, like the color of this watch. It was so blue. He was right. I am pregnant. So at this point, I just started giggling. I didn't know what else to do. I took it out to show Sai, I gave it to him, and he just kind of stared at the ceiling. And it definitely took us a couple days to adjust to the fact that this was the case. Obviously, it wasn't planned. We were planning on trying in 2021, so it's just a couple months earlier than we were going to. However, wow. That's all I have to say to that. Wow. Anyway, this is where the symptoms started, and the sickness was definitely the first one I felt, and it just kind of got worse from there. I was never fully diagnosed with HG, which is the big long word for extreme sickness in pregnancy that I can't pronounce, so I'm not even going to try, but I think I was definitely on the edge of it because 3 days later I ended up in hospital. How I ended up there, every single time I stood up, I would pass out. My blood pressure when they took it to the hospital was 80/52. Yeah, it was low. It wasn't good. I had to get an ambulance to the hospital because I was in so much pain and so sick. And they tried to give me all of these anti-nausea medications and everything, and nothing worked. And I just threw everything back up, especially because the ambulance I was in, I'm pretty sure was from the Stone Age, because it was so, like, you could feel every little crack in the road. And every time we hit a bump, I would throw up. And it just keep on happening. And we don't live close to a hospital. So I get to the hospital, they admit me right away. At this point, we have no idea how many weeks pregnant I am. We're kind of guessing based on what my last period was. However, my IUD issue, does that play into a factor? We don't really know. So we were guessing at this point we were about 5-6 weeks along. So I spend one day in one hospital and then I get transferred to another hospital, which is a maternity hospital. I was there for 3 or 4 days total. I think I ate 1 cucumber sandwich over those 3 or 4 days. I was on lots of anti-sickness medications, I was on lots of IV fluids, and basically I was there so that they could control the sickness and they could control my fainting. I did get an ultrasound and this did confirm that I was pregnant and that I was between 6 and 7 weeks. At this point, obviously we're so early on that nobody knew. My parents didn't know, Simon's parents didn't know, people I worked with didn't know. We were keeping this to ourselves, so for all they knew, I was just really, really sick. I got out of the hospital close to the weekend, and that following week we went up to Devon for a holiday. This was great. It was a great holiday. I'm gonna start that because it's true. I had a lot of fun when I wasn't feeling like poo. At this point we figured we had to tell our parents. There was no way, my parents don't live in the UK, so I don't see them. It would be a lot easier to hide it from them. Simon's parents we see all the time. They're gonna know something's up when I'm just constantly sick. They'd already figured it out before we even said anything. It was that obvious. The first 2 days of the holiday were spent with them, and we did tell them that we were pregnant. Now this is the week that I experienced pretty much all the symptoms I was going to experience for the next 6-7 weeks, and they all kind of hit me at once. The first one, exhaustion. I was so tired all the time, and I think that's from A, trying to grow a baby, and B, being so sick all the time. I didn't get out of bed until about noon or 1 every single day. The hours that I was awake, I felt great. So in this time we would go to the beach, we'd go to the zoo, we'd go out for food, we'd do stuff. I'd really struggle in the car going to those places, but once I was there, I was actually okay. But I only had a couple hour window before it just went downhill again. So like I said, didn't really get out of bed till about noon or 1. Felt okay until about 3 or 4, and then it was just downhill from there, and I was back on the sofa or back in bed, just feeling horrible. The next symptom, I don't even know if I called it a symptom, but the next thing that happened to me was weight loss. So my diet was atrocious. And I think most people in their first trimester can say that theirs was too, because at this point you just eat what you can. When you feel so sick, you eat what you can, whatever you feel like. The baby will get whatever nutrition it needs, but it was atrocious. I was eating toast, the occasional pizza, Cocoa Pops, ginger nut cookies, ginger ale, Coke, Sprite. That was my meals. Cookies, crackers. It was terrible. I don't think I ate a protein. Maybe bacon once. Maybe. That's more fat. It was bad. It was horrible. But I also stopped training. For me, before I found out I was pregnant, I was training multiple hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. I was super active, I was super fit, and now suddenly I stopped because I couldn't even get myself out of bed half the time. How was I gonna do a CrossFit workout? So between my poor diet and not eating much because I couldn't, and not training, I managed to lose 5 kilos before my first trimester was over. 5. That's a lot. I was skinnier after my first trimester than I was going in. It also took me, fun fact, until my 26th week to get back to my pre-pregnancy weight. My pre-pregnancy weight was 64 kilos. At my 26th week midwife appointment, I was 64.4 kilos. Finally gained it back. It was a big day. I was excited that day. I'd gained weight. Now, those were definitely the biggest symptoms. The sickness didn't go away to the point that I could kind of go back to work until week 14. The fainting definitely got better quicker, but my blood pressure stayed a little bit lower than it should have, and the exhaustion has just kind of never gotten better. I've just gotten better at handling it. So the major symptoms for me were the sickness, the exhaustion, the fainting, the dizziness, and then the weight loss, which obviously you want to gain weight in pregnancy, not lose it. But we're here, we're still fine. These may sound like pretty common symptoms, and that's, well, because they are, but I do know people who are pregnant at the same time as me who had no symptoms whatsoever, and they were just totally fine, and that was infuriating to me because I wanted to be totally fine. But to each their own. I mean, some people may experience all of these symptoms, some people may experience none, but whatever you do experience, know that it's normal. If you experience so many symptoms and you were kind of like I was, where you couldn't really do anything until week 14, then know that that's okay. Your baby is okay, you are okay, you're just handling it different. If you are not experiencing any symptoms, don't go around thinking, oh my gosh, I should be feeling sick. If I don't feel sick, then baby's not okay. No, your baby's fine. Your body's just handling it differently. And if you are really worried about any of those things, go and talk to your doctor or your midwife. They are there to help you. I hope this video gave you a little bit of insight into the world of being pregnant and the symptoms that you can get in the first trimester. The first trimester typically ends between 12 to 14 weeks. Each kind of person and app says a different thing, but mine, I feel like based on when my symptoms started to fade, was 14 weeks for me. If you do have any questions or you want to kind of dig deeper with me about any of the issues, whether that be the sickness, the fainting, the exhaustion, my diet, me being in hospital, if you're experiencing that and you want more information or somebody to talk to, just let me know. I'll be happy to chat to you about it. If you're now nervous about getting an IUD, don't. I'll be getting another one once the baby's born. I thought my IUD was great. It worked for a very, very long time, and it just happened to be that the one time that something went wrong, I got pregnant. Remember that each pregnancy is different. Yours isn't going to be exactly like mine won't be exactly like yours, but everybody at the same time is pregnant, so we all share that in common at least. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and press the subscribe button so we can get this out to as many people as possible who want to know about the first trimester symptoms. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have an amazing week, amazing month, amazing 2021, and I will see you again next week.